Okay, so it's 1 week later from the last video, and I brought the little tripod and the little thing that connected to my selfie stick, but I forgot my selfie stick, so I'm in the same videoing position that I was last week when we were here. We still haven't quite got down how to pack everything properly. We're still digging around, so I think in another couple trips we'll get this together. Anyway, so last night we drove up here. We left an hour later than I wanted to, but that's the way things normally go. And so it was almost dark as we were about 8 or 10 miles out of Romney, and a massive thunder and lightning storm rolled in. High winds, torrential downpours, lightning, pitch black, could hardly see, doing 20 miles an hour. And of course, I had not put my tarp over the stuff in the back of the truck, and all my tools were back there, so they all got wet. But it's okay, because apparently everything still works, because I've been using my weed whacker today. So a lot of development since last week. Number one, I had called Potomac Edison and put in a work order for getting electric out here, and they've already called me back, and they are coming out here this week to mark a spot to put in a pole to run electric. And then I've already talked to the contractor that's doing the electric. So I think that probably within the next 2 months or less, we will actually have electric out here to plug a camper into.
And
speaking of campers, we are also in the process of working on hopefully a deal to get a really nice 29-foot long regular travel trailer with slide outs, nice living room, bed, all that kind of stuff. So if we can work out the finances for it, maybe in a couple weeks or so we'll have one of those to replace our pop-up.
then the puppies can come.
So then we don't have to worry as much about rain and critters and all that, and then we can bring the dogs up. Now, speaking of the rain, so I talked about the rainstorm that had come in last night on the drive up here, and by the time we got into Romney, it had abated and was just a light shower, and we stopped and got something to eat at McDonald's. And
The one restaurant in town?
yeah, the one fast food restaurant in town is McDonald's. And we were dreading coming up here to the property, because at this point now, by the time we finished eating, it was like 9 o'clock at night, pitch black, rainy, wet, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be so miserable to set up this camper in the dark and in the pouring rain and all that kind of stuff.
Snakes coming out in the dark or after rain.
Yeah, Mitzi Googled snakes coming out and how they all come out when it rains, and so she's already been freaked out about bears and snakes just overrunning our property. So we left McDonald's and we came driving out here and got on the main road that runs to the gravel road that comes to our property. And about 2 miles in from on the main road, all of a sudden I noticed the road was completely dry. And here the storm had completely missed our property, and the rest of the drive back here was completely dry. We were able to set up the camper, although it was in the dark and I'm banging around for snakes, and had the headlights on the truck so we could see what we were doing. But we got the camper set up without issue. Never saw a snake. A couple frogs. So that's about it. Toads, tree frogs, whatever. So we got the camper set up last night. Hung out for a little while. We were all stressed out, but
Big surprise.
got it set up and went to bed. So we had a uneventful night's sleep, sort of. I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning and my mind started running as normal, thinking about projects and bears and other things. But let's see if I can do it maybe this way. My arm was getting tired. Anyway, so I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, laid in bed for about a half hour, and finally got tired of laying there. Mitzi was snoring peacefully, but I got up about 4:30, hung out in the camper for a little while, had a smoke, all that normal stuff, and finally at like 5:45, Mitzi woke up, and we got up, and we were headed up to McDonald's again to get some breakfast and some coffee and use their restroom. But about 2 blocks down from McDonald's, Mitzi saw a sign that said diner. So we circled back around. It was this little tiny diner that was super awesome. Had an awesome omelet. Mitzi had, what did you have?
Eggs and bacon.
Eggs and bacon and some chip beef gravy, which actually the chip beef gravy wasn't great.
No, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was kind of floury. I don't think they cooked it long enough. But anyway, the omelet was awesome. I was very excited about the omelet.
Give you half a pound of bacon for an order.
Yeah, when you get a side order of bacon, it's like half a pig. So you get a lot of bacon. And
it's the first time I've never finished my bacon.
Yeah, and it was like $2. And we actually had a pile left that we didn't even eat, because I don't eat a whole lot, like just a couple slices and I'm good. So now we know next time that we can just get bacon with our meal and split that, because we don't need a whole pig. Anyway, so the diner was pretty awesome. They don't take credit cards, so we had to write them a check for breakfast, because they take checks and cash, and we did not have any cash on us, but fortunately I still had the checkbook in the truck from last week when the survey guy was here, and I wrote them out a check for breakfast. So there's that. And the conversation around in the diner was awesome. It apparently is a local hangout. A lot of the old timers were in there, and they were talking about, like, back in the day, moonshining. And
I don't think it was back in the day. I think it's current moonshining.
No, the one guy they were talking about is currently passed on, but they were Earl had some good moonshine, a 55-gallon barrel and half a bushel of peaches, and you could smell it, and it was good. Oh yeah, Earl, he used to have the meat market, right? Yeah, the good meat market. He made some good moonshine. Good old there Earl, he was good.
Talk about the waitress saying, "Well, I'm glad you could see me."
Oh yeah, and instead of saying hello or good morning, they say,
"I'm glad I saw you."
Glad I saw you is what they say up here, and
no, they say, "Glad you could see me."
Oh yeah, glad you could see me.
And the other guy said, "Well, I'm glad you could see me."
I'm glad you could see me.
And as he's leaving, he said, "Well, I guess I'll see you when I look at you."
Here, you tell him.
As he's leaving, he was like, "Well, I guess I'll see you next time I look at you." Pretty fabulous.
So yeah, it was kind of fun to listen to the old timers talk about stuff. And the one guy was all about getting deer apples this year.
He doesn't hunt them, he just feeds them.
Yeah, he doesn't hunt them, he doesn't feed them. It's not baiting them, it's just feeding them. So they were talking about deer apple prices, whatever that is. And then when we got back to the camper, we met 2 more neighbors. Well, first, the husband came by. His name's John. Came by on his 4-wheeler, saw us sitting out here, and he pulled in and talked to him for a while. And he definitely put Mitzi's mind at ease when it comes to bears and snakes, because I think some of the other locals that we've met have told us some tall tales, or at least
having a little fun at our expense.
Having a little fun at our expense. But John, the neighbor that we met today, said that he has lived up here for 3 years and has never seen a single bear. And as for snakes, he saw 1 black snake. So I think some of the other stories we heard may have been a little embellished, or maybe were a compilation of multiple stories over a long period of time. But at any rate, I think we have much less to worry about than what we first were told. So, And then after John left, he went down, picked up his wife, drove back up here. They brought us some tomatoes, invited us over for coffee. They said that anytime we want, we can stop by and they'll have a pot of coffee on. And if they don't, John will make it. So we met John and Kelly, and they were really, really nice people. John retired, he said like 20 or 22 years ago. And he had a farm in southern West Virginia, a couple hours away, and gave it to his son and moved up here when he married Kelly. And they've been living here for the last 3 years. So
their property is beautiful.
Yeah, they have a beautiful property, completely fenced in, nice little house. It's a couple houses down from our property, because there's like 3 or 4 houses you pass when you first come in before you get back to the wooded area that becomes our property. But they're super nice people. So we're very happy to meet them. They put our minds at ease, and I think that we will be talking to them a lot in the future. So the next thing is that we got a generator. Got a good deal on it, and we haven't tried starting it yet, but around.
We know nothing of generators.
Yeah, this will be our first attempt at making a using a generator once we use it. But it's been only used like a few times from what we understand. So if we pulled it out, I don't know if we'll end up starting it today, because we came up last night, but we're leaving by mid-afternoon. And people driving by out there on the road. And I've been weed whacking today. I don't know if you could tell from the video from last week, but this was all thigh high at the minimum weeded area. And so now I've got this whole section out, cleared out on this side of the camper, and I need to do more in the back, but I don't know if I'll get it all done this weekend. And Mitzi yesterday ordered a porta potty for us to use while we're up here, and they're supposed to be delivering that today, and we're hoping to kind of set it right over there somewhere.
That cedar tree.
Which we can, I think we're just going to have it here for like a month or two, and then we'll have them pick it up, and it'll be something that we'll use off and on until we can get water and septic up here, especially once we get a big travel trailer up here. That will give us a lot more room and make it more livable while we're doing work up here. So as you can see, there's still a lot of area that needs to be trimmed out, cut out.
And this is only the half acre that we can see.
Yeah, this is probably even less than a half acre than we're looking at, but we've got 7 acres of work to do, and so far we've weed whacked about 100 yards worth. But it's giving us a nice cleared camping area that is snake free. We're going to put a fire pit down here, build a table. Is that our porta john? Or is that just someone riding? Someone's pulling up on some sort of vehicle. So next thing is, this is a section that we cleared out last weekend. I want to do a little bit more hopefully today before we leave, because I want to start clearing up that. Was the plan last week, but that I mentioned, but we never got up to doing that part. Some of our leftover wood from our little wood project, which I'm not even going to show you because it's pretty sad looking.
Well, but it was our first project.
Yeah, our little cedar wood attempt at making a toilet. However, I think if we take it apart and trim it down better, we can make like a little table out of it. So there's still some really good wood there, and cedar's awesome. And we have a lot of smaller straight cedar trees that we want to clear out. This is one. Actually, we're going to keep this one, but this one right here, it's good size. We're going to take that out. This one's kind of bent.
Close.
This one's kind of bent, but we're going to take this one out too, because it's, it's kind of hideous, and it's up here by the camper area and it's leaning. We're going to take that out, but we can use a lot of this wood. We want to trim it down, and I'm going to plan on making some tables out of it to use out here, like our own picnic table. But a lot of these small, what I call scrub trees, but really they are perfect for small building projects because it's all cedar. At least the ones that, most of the ones were taken out. The sad thing is last week, remember, the creek was running strong and high, and this week we're back to barely a trickle again. I was very sad when I got here, and last week we listened to the brook bubble all night long, and it was awesome to cool our feet off in. When we were hot, and was running strong down to the bridge, and look, it ends right here. From there down to the bridge is dry. That's in 1 week. They have not got as much rain here as we got up our way. There's still some pools and there's still some trickling, but man, it's low. And I was hoping this would run fuller most of the year, but I don't know if it's actually that type of creek. Although you can tell it's run really high at multiple times. So I'm not really sure what the deal is. This is something I want to ask the neighbor, because this creek actually wraps around, the guy across the street wraps around his house, around the back of it, and see what kind of water we can expect on a regular year. This year's been weird. We had a rainy spring, then drought, and then it's rained for the last month. So I thought this would be a lot higher, but I think a lot of the storms that have come through have missed here. So, like I said, still some pools and some trickle. It's nice, but I wish it would just run like it did last week or higher, because that's my favorite kind of creek. This is more of a rock pile with water. So we'll see what happens. One of our little projects from last week, I put together a little stone pile by the creek. And Mitzi did one a little farther up. See if I can go up here and watch for snakes. You know, all those copperheads and rattlers they keep telling us about. But let's see. And here's Mitzi's little rock pile. Or a little Zen stone pile by the creek. So you can see up here it's a little bit deeper, and there's another nice pool. I don't know, I can't tell from this little tiny video camera, but up there's a nice little pool with trickling coming down from farther up. And I know way up near the back of our property there's one section that's fairly deep. Even when we were here, when most of the rest of this was completely dry, there was still a pool and little waterfalls up there. So, but I'm not going to go all the way up there. So there's some of our property on the other side of the creek, all of course overgrown and whatnot. There's a shared road that runs right up just on past some of these front trees that kind of banks out farther. So the farther you go up that direction, the property on that side actually gets wider, and eventually we'll get to doing some stuff on that side of the creek as well. Once you get all the way up to where the property comes to a point, our property line actually crosses the road where it ends at a gate, and we own the weird thing is we actually own all the property directly in front of the gate where the road is. It's kind of strange, but our property is shaped like a triangle, but has a lot of undulations in the property line. He's down there on the rocks, way down the creek, looking around for something. So this is weekend number 2 at the property. While we have stopped here 4 or 5 times over the past 8 months since we bought it. Most of that was during the winter or early spring, where there wasn't a whole lot of things to do up here. It's kind of cold. But this is our second week in a row coming up and actually working. So getting a nice camping area cleared and hoping that within the next couple of months we'll have a nice big 29-foot long travel trailer with electric, and eventually hopefully we will get a well in, add water to that, and then eventually septic.
Feeling hot. Feeling hot.
But also can. Anyway, this is a pool. Probably can't tell from the video, but it's a nice little pool for wading. So as you can see, I'm up to my shins, and the temperature is perfect for cooling off. I guess I better go back though, because Missy's gonna be mad. So I left her working on the generator, because wait a minute, I just saw the minnows again. But probably because of the reflection on the water. Oh, they're hiding now. I don't know where they went. But they were in that little, tiny pool back there. Back up through our little path. I weed whacked out this afternoon, and then I weed whacked up almost to this nice big cedar up here, but I ran out of gas right before I got to the end, unfortunately. But we're getting there, following this path, and it actually winds around up. Can't really tell from here, but it winds up and follows the creek all the way to the back of our property. And this is all sections that we still need to clear out. But the first goal will be to get some trails going and then work in from there. Oh, that's a lot of thunder over there, although we've heard it off and on throughout the day. And so far it's been heading just north of us, although that one sounds like it's directly behind me, so hopefully it's moving that direction and not gonna come over us. So about an hour or less before we needed to leave, it started pouring rain. We did get the generator running though. Got tools getting wet here. Fortunately, all the windows are up in the truck, and hopefully this will be a quick shower.